Down, 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 down. Hello, everyone. This is a bit of a kind of a new experiment thing where me and Fabio are going to talk about Formula One. And it's obviously the high production values already, as you can tell. But with a view to doing this regularly, eventually we'll have titles and sound and stuff. But yeah, so if anyone would like to come and have a serious chat with us about we're just going to have a half-hour chat about the last weekend. It was the Spa Grand Prix just gone. And yeah, I thought it was a brilliant race. I mean, obviously, I would say that being a huge fan of Lewis Hamilton. But I thought driver of the day, I don't know what you think, Fabio, I thought driver of the day was Romain Grosjean.
Yeah, Grosjean was really cool. I will take my. I don't know if it has my vote. I think Verstappen did some interesting overtakes.
Yeah, he's overtaken
And
as well.
yeah, and also even Vettel, for reasons that we might talk about it later. I think he made an impressive race. I mean, he made some stuff. One of the best stuff I've seen this year so far has been actually when he was in front of Grosjean. But we'll talk about that later. So
yeah, I think we should also talk about what the hell happened. Well, what is happening to Williams? I had really high hopes for them this season. I mean, Bottas did his best, but then he went out on the wrong like two different sets of tires. Never seen that before.
Oh, that's to me. I mean, it sounded like going back to the past, not back to the future. I mean, you should remember when Williams was the. And I always liked Williams. I always loved Frank. All these people. But there was a time in 90s, stuff like that, where they were the guys which always fucked up stuff. You remember with Mansell, stuff like that. At the pit box, they were also the guy which they were. Okay, now is coming the fun part, because there is tire change or fuel change at Williams. So yeah, I was quite unlucky, but I don't know, maybe too much Belgian beer. I don't know. Like that.
But seriously, have you ever seen in the modern era, like say, after the 1970s, have you ever seen a team send out a car with two different sets of tires on it?
No, never. And if you remember the video, at a certain point there is a mechanic showing up on camera with a tire, and he's obviously lost, and he's got a tire with with the heaters on, and say, okay, well, they already got four, I don't know why I'm here. And he went back, and he probably was the guy with the right tire. So
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea what happened. It was mildly hilarious seeing that. I can tell you, I've been involved a little bit in motorsports, not four wheels, two wheels. I can tell you that was a bloody tragedy in the box. I mean, some people was crying hard.
I mean, you've got to feel sorry for Valtteri Bottas, because he also found out this weekend that he won't be going to Ferrari and that Kimi Räikkönen is staying where he's at. I was quite surprised by that. I thought Kimi would bow out.
Yeah, actually, I don't know. I think one of the reasons why Bottas made so well was because he had no so much pressure. Decision is it made. So yeah, I mean, go for it. So that was my feeling. Of course, I've got no feedback on that, but I think that was one main reason why he did so well.
I haven't been able to work out why he was so strongly linked with Ferrari. I mean, was he previously on the Young Drivers program? I mean, why Ferrari is the team for him to go to?
Well, no, because the main problem was that Kimi wasn't delivering as much as they were expecting from him. So they were basically looking at the grid, and in that moment when they were looking at the guys, Bottas was the unexpected one. He was consistent. It was fast, so it was cheap. The Bottas had some problems. One of the problems is that well, not mentor, but the guy which deals with him is Wolf. Is the same guy is the head director of basically Mercedes. So there might have been some problems, but I think that was why the name of Bottas was going on and on and on because he was the fastest guy at the time. With the material he had, he was faster than he was supposed to be. So yeah.
So
but I'm quite happy about Kimi right now. I'm disappointed by his season, but I love the guy. I don't know, but there's something with the guy that I really like.
Oh, there's definitely something about the guy. Yeah, he's Mr. Ice Cool and everything. But I just I was quite surprised that they announced that he was staying put. I really thought, if not Bottas, perhaps Hulkenberg, or one of the drivers they've got on the young drivers program that's going through GP2.
Hulkenberg was another name which popped up, at least in the papers in Italy. My idea is that they're keeping Kimi because he's a fast driver.
And he's box office as well.
Yeah. Also, I think he made a terrific race last Sunday. He started. He was 16th, no 17th. He got 6th. Okay, so that was a terrific race. When he's in the mood, he's a really fast driver. He's kind of a strange guy. I've personally speak with some people in Ferrari when he used to make another job. I was more involved in motorsports, and I spoke with some engineers. And the funny thing is that you will find an engineer which loved Kimi, and you will find another engineer which absolutely have no idea how he got to be a world champion.
Yeah,
he is that strange. But I think that when he's in the zone, is really dangerous and really fast. So I'm quite happy, and I think they're going to keep the guy till the end of the season. He probably retired at the end of the season or stuff like that, and they will wait for something more, faster or approachable. I think a good driver might be Verstappen for Ferrari, but they're going to wait at least a couple of years more.
I thought his overtake was, it was really fun to watch, but I thought it was a little bit dangerous. I think if something had gone wrong there, he would be getting a bit of criticism for that. Look at the overtake he tried to pull off on the pit straight going into the first turn at Monaco. It was suicidal, really.
Yeah.
And he seems he gets given a pass because he's 17 and he's Josh Verstappen's son. And I just think that if he carries on like that, there's a real danger he could become another Roman Grosjean where people are trying to avoid him on the track.
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be another Roman Grosjean. The guy is really fast. He has a killer instinct, and I agree with you. Nasr pulled up a little bit after the Blanchimont. Nasr could have easily stepped in front of him before the bus stop, but he didn't because he's a smart guy, and he probably knew they would have overtaken him in the following stage. So there was no reason. But still, I think the guy, he's 17. So there is one thing, if you see along the season, Sainz has always been faster than Verstappen. So that's a fact. So Verstappen is really fast. He lacks tactics. But I think that if he finds a good mentor, someone which can teach, some smart stuff, it's going to be quite interesting.
He tried to pull an overtake on, I think, Perez and ran out of talent and locked up and went straight on.
Yeah.
But with a little bit of time, he'll be a great driver.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Roman Grosjean because the first of the non-Mercedes drivers. He is a guy that I never thought we'd be talking about being on the podium just a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
They were talking on the BBC coverage about how he's been having mentoring and coaching to calm him down and set his private life to one side when he's on the track and all of that. It's obviously working for him. Does he really want to be driving alongside Pastor Maldonado next season? Because there's talk, of course, of Renault buying back Lotus and a Renault going to one Pastor Maldonado in the other car.
I don't know. Lotus used to be the same team as Renault was.
Right.
You remember that they bought Lotus, bought Renault, so that's the same structure. And I don't know about Maldonado. If there is those talks, I think Maldonado will go. for better or worse. Because I mean, to be fair, it was quite unlucky. I know Maldonado is like, when you're shooting at the Red Cross on the battlefield, doesn't even give you points. It's so easy. They got a big target on them. But last Sunday it was quite unlucky. So I don't know. But it is.
Yeah, but no one's more unlucky so consistently. I mean, that's, he just, and when you see him interviewed, apparently he's a nice enough guy around the paddock and everything, but he doesn't seem to have that kind of, I don't know, it's like he's resigned to being a backmarker, and I just don't understand how he's lasted so long at a team with such a pedigree that clearly wants to win.
No, you're right.
They've battled financial problems, and apparently are still battling those financial problems. I can't see him racing, if Renault come back as a manufacturer team, I can't see him being in the second seat.
No, I totally agree. I think he'll be gone, and he hasn't shown to have the killer instinct. He doesn't deliver under pressure. Yeah, so I agree with you. I mean, there are way better, drivers like Nasr, for example. I mean, Kvyat was fucking amazing. I mean, I loved that guy. I mean, he pulled some stuff which was quite unbelievable. So yeah.
Well,
and Grosjean was good. I mean, the Lotus was quite surprising to me. I would never expected the Lotus to be that fast. It must be said, because I'm Italian. I'm wearing red tonight, just by accident. That it would have never got third if Sebastian Vettel didn't have that problem with the tire. So.
I don't know. I think he was putting Vettel under a little bit of pressure. I'm not sure he would have taken him because it was quite close towards the end of the race, but he was definitely on his tail. I don't think Vettel was holding him up by any stretch of the imagination, but if Vettel hadn't have had that problem. Now, well, since we're talking about it, in the press conference afterwards, Sebastian Vettel was absolutely furious with Pirelli. And I think rightly so. I mean, at first it appeared to be a recreation of the problem that Rosberg had in free practice. Although watching the slow motion footage, it appears to have delaminated from a different part of the tire, but still, still rear left or rear right. Sorry, obviously on a clockwise circuit. So, have they said anything since? Because I haven't seen much press today. Have Pirelli said anything about it since?
Well, there are some problems. The first thing is that the rear right is not that surprising. On Spa, you got Eau Rouge and Blanchimont. Both are corners which, you got more than 1G on that corner. So that is the tire which is more stressed out. So if the fact is the rear right is not unexpected. There are some problems. Okay, first of all, let me tell you, you're right in pointing out that that there were two different accidents. Vettel and Rosberg were totally two different things. I don't think it was the same cause. On Rosberg, you can see there is a problem in the inner shoulder.
Yeah.
So I think it was more a problem about wear in that tire, and it actually makes sense of what Pirelli said it was. And even Toto Wolff said it was a debris which got caught in the tire and exploded. So that might make sense. But having said that, there are some problems with what happened to Vettel. The first thing is that the shoulder exploded. So that wasn't wear. When it exploded is when the tire explodes because of wear, it gives you some hints. Now Vettel was making huge times before the tire exploded. So I don't think it was a wear problem. The tire just collapsed. There is another thing, is that Maurizio Arrivabene, the
Primo at Ferrari.
Yeah, the team director, right now in Ferrari, he said something really interesting, and he said that basically he said that we are not crazy to make a strategy risking the life of the people. He said that they made a strategy because they had data which allowed them to do what we did. And he also added, we are Ferrari. We're not some crazy shit people, which gonna risk the life of some drivers. So, according to the data they had, Pirelli said, that the tires were going to last about 40 laps, 40 laps. It exploded after, I think, 28 or stuff like that. So it was well within the limits.
No, it wasn't a long stint at all. No,
it was a long stint because they were the only one which tried 2 stints, but it was well within the limits that even Pirelli said. But Pirelli talked about 40 laps, 40 laps. It was way. So I think they have a problem. I don't know if it was because of Spa. You said already. You saw the images. The shoulder is really stressed out when you get out of the Eau Rouge. And.
Well, Vettel's frustration and anger actually at Pirelli seemed to be, if it had happened at the top of Eau Rouge, he would have been in some really serious trouble.
Oh yeah, he's right. He's totally right. I mean, it's not mostly the Eau Rouge. It's the Radillon, which is almost after that. That would be a big problem. So I understand that, and I don't know. I think there was something wrong with the tire. Sometimes shit like that happen. People don't talk about that. We think about F1 as really controlled and stuff like that, but you actually might have a bad tire. It might happen. So
other drivers to talk about. There was a couple of interesting races going on with the back markers. Felipe Nasr at Sauber had quite an interesting tussle with Alonso. They seemed to be just trading places with each other at one point. I don't know whether Alonso was pushing harder than he was told he should push or what, but they seem to be swapping places with each other quite a lot. Is Nasr? I mean, I was impressed with Nasr in Australia. I thought he came out of the gate, with a flair. And bearing in mind there was quite a lot of pressure at the time because of the mix-up they'd had with their Esteban Gutierrez, and there was 3 drivers contracted, and he had a lot of pressure on him. Came out of the gate quite impressive. Has he done much since?
I don't know. I mean, I got a strange feeling about Nasr. I think I don't think he's going to be a world champion. Okay, let me put that straight. But I think that is not considered as much as it really is. We talked before about the overtake that that Verstappen made on Nasr, and actually Nasr behaved really in a mature way more than it was expected. So I think it might be a good driver. I don't know if it's suitable for F1 racing, but if I had a team, I might want to go and talk to the guy to be. I think it would be an excellent test driver. And we all know, test drivers right now are really the 3rd driver, and they're really important. So
I thought his ability to stay calm when Verstappen locked up on the following corner, it might have been the next lap. I thought it was a textbook example of the kind of maturity that only comes from someone who's been through GP2. Verstappen leapfrogged all of those series. And I think that was a textbook example of where a driver can, even a young driver can actually, I think Verstappen should have gone through GP2 or GP3 first. So there's not much to be said about Mercedes. I guess some people might feel sorry for Rosberg. I don't think he did enough. I think Lewis has just pretty much sealed the championship now.
Hamilton was stellar. He made a massive weekend. You cannot really expect nothing more from that guy. I think Rosberg is boiled like a boiled fish. You can see in his eyes he doesn't really know where the fuck he is.
No.
The only and that's a big problem because if you remember last Sunday, if Rosberg was a little bit more furious, combatant, I don't know if it's the right word, that might be really interesting, because if you remember, there was one moment on Sunday in the race where actually it was shown the only problem that Hamilton still has, and is the problem with his box, his engineers. There was at a certain time they called him in for, they called him, box, and he was making good times, and he and he said something that it's not really common, because he asked back to the engineer, why should I come in? I mean, my tires are going good. And the engineers reply, well, if you don't come in, Rosberg is going to come in and we're going to split the race. And he immediately got in. So he doesn't, I don't think he still trusts his engineers. He's questioning them. And if Rosberg was a little bit more faster, a little more mean, he might be able to exploit that weakness. But unfortunately, I think he's totally boiled.
I think Hamilton has won the psychological games with Rosberg. There was a point in the post-qualifying press conference where Rosberg said to the BBC, well, no doubt his side of the garage will take a look at my telemetry data and then give him my setup. And, it sort of suggested that even if he was quicker, they would just give that data right to the other side of the garage anyway. Now, okay, maybe that does happen, but to say it out loud like that to the press, clearly it's on his mind when he should be focusing on the race. Qualifying was already finished. Lewis only ever says things like, well, my teammate was very quick. Rosberg was there to pick up the pieces if anything went wrong for me. He's only ever complimentary about him. And Rosberg always seems to try and find this little niggle, and I think Lewis has won the psychological game against him.
That reminds me of a situation which happened 2 or 3 years ago in MotoGP with Rossi and Lorenzo. When Rossi got back from Ducati to Yamaha, they actually built a wall between the two. The same box. They actually built a wall between the two teams.
Wow!
Because they didn't want to share, the data. Unfortunately, that's something that in F1 you will never be able to do that. You know. Unless you have a team with, I don't know, Vettel and Hamilton, okay, yeah, you might want to do that. You know what? Fuck it. I got 2 best drivers, yeah. But, it was really interesting from that point of view. I agree with you.
So there's an interesting question. How much money would Ferrari have to throw at both Vettel and Lewis to get them both at the same team? And is it a question of money? I think any Formula One motor racing driver wants to race for Ferrari at some point. And I say that through gritted teeth because they're not my team.
Yeah.
But they're Ferrari.
Yeah. You're right. That's a fact.
It's a real kind of brain teaser. It might be one of those things that we never get to find out about. But I think I kind of would like to see what would happen if Vettel and Lewis were at the same team.
I don't think that is going to happen. I can only see one scenario where that might happen, and that scenario would be if Vettel won the World Championship with Lewis second, and then Lewis said, you know what, I'm gonna go to that car to because I want to get even, and I want to even the guy. I mean, that might be the only scenario I could see. But right now, I mean, Mercedes is, he made a really good engine. And by the way, I'm 50. I've been following, F1 ever since, I don't know, 72, stuff like that. I have no fucking idea what the token system is, the units, it's beyond me. I don't know. I honestly checked it out. And I have no idea what they're talking about.
No, you're not alone. No. There was a feature in Autosport magazine recently with, actual motor racing journalists of many years' experience. And I think it basically boils down to the teams don't want other teams to know. There's a great deal. I mean, they tell you as much as they need to stay within the regulations or whatever.
Yeah.
But how it all actually boils down to who gets what and how it's related to previous season performance, and it's really confusing.
It's the old regulation which is fucked up, because apparently you got tokens depending on some areas of the car, and you can spend some tokens basically it means you can develop some parts. Okay, so you can show up with a different part, but you got to spend, I mean, it's insane. It's totally insane. This is one of those things that really make people, shy away from the sport. And the only thing which is keeping it alive, I think, is the new it's the new way that they show that sport on television. Because if you remember, I mean, I'm sure you remember in the 80s when you watch, the F1 races, the only thing you see on television were the first 2 or 3 drivers. Okay, the first, the second, and third, and in the background, mayhem might happen. You will never know that. Now they're a little bit smarter, so they show the problems with 7 and 8 and stuff like that. So it's funnier. But again, keep in mind if Sunday's race was shown, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it would have been a hell of a boring race because it would be like Hamilton for 43 laps.
Well, it was
So-
sort of like that still towards the beginning of Schumacher's career. The TV hadn't really caught up by the time Schumacher had won. I mean, he won a championship with Benetton, and then he went to Ferrari with Ross Brawn, and Ross Brawn was at Benetton as well. Yeah. It was still kind of stuck in that kind of only follow the leader TV coverage, even at that point. So yeah, maybe there is an overemphasis on this kind of thing, but I just can't help feeling that if an equivalent, let's say in football, was so cloaked in secrecy as the engine token development system is in Formula One, the fans wouldn't stand for it. If football fans didn't have at least an inkling of which manager was going to go to what team or which striker was on transfer list or whatever, the fans would be furious about it. The journalists would be writing all kinds of column inches. It would be on all the talk sport channels. But the same thing happens in Formula One, and it's just like, oh, that's just the thing. That's just the stuff that Bernie takes care of. Well, I'm sorry, but as somebody who invests quite a lot of my time in following this sport that I love, I would really like to understand how that's all supposed to work. And I just get the feeling that there are really very few people actually in F1 who really do understand it. I think that's by design. I don't think they want us to know.
I mean, it has become so complicated that the rules have got to be that complicated because there are so many things going on that it is really an engineering sport. There is no way around it, And keep in mind that there is my kid, which is 19, is really into that, and he doesn't know all this token system, how all this token system works. I'm 50. I mean, I remember Lauda running, racing and winning. I remember James Hunt winning. So, so I've seen quite a lot of races. I have no idea what is going on, really. If someone tells me, okay, I'm going to give you €1 million, explain to me how the token system works, I'd be crying because I'll be able to do that. I will not be able to do that. It's that sad. I don't know.
So were there any other teams in this week's race that we have forgot to talk about? Marussia did what we expected Marussia to do.
I don't know. I mean, we're talking about Williams. There is one thing, a couple of things actually. Do we want to, and this, leads to what we were talking about before, the virtual safety car.
Yes. Yes.
Is that one of the most fucked up things ever done in the world? It is genuinely insane. Apparently, let me recapitulate a bit, and I want a feedback from you because that's one of the things that nobody really knows how it works. Apparently, when the virtual safety car is put on, you got to, as a driver, they give you a certain time on every sector of the track, and you got some lights on your steering wheel telling you if you're ahead or behind, but it's up to you. And one problem was, I made some notes because during the virtual safety car, Rosberg gained 1.5 seconds and Hamilton lost 2 seconds. It is fucked up. It is insane, and I think it's the second time they put that that thing, and it simply doesn't work.
I think it works in as much as that they all know the instant that they're under yellow flag conditions, they need to dial up the same engine settings that they would have for the formation lap. So it works to slow them down, but it seems like when the actual safety car comes out, it leads to more excitement because you know that they're going to bunch up behind the leader, and then whoever's in pole is going to dictate the pace of the race once the safety car pulls in.
No, you're right.
Now,
Yeah, but oh, sorry.
So I understand why they introduced it after Jules Bianchi's accident, but it's like every day the journalists are talking about how there needs to be more excitement injected into the sport, and they've introduced something which takes away something which is exciting and isn't actually dangerous. I mean, by definition, it is a safety car. So I don't know how long the virtual safety car can last. I hope it's a temporary measure until they can figure out some other way of using flags to slow people down, or what. I just, it seems a real bad idea, a bad fix to something that really wasn't broken. I mean, although Jules Bianchi's accident was tragic,
no,
it was the first death since Senna, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. The problem with the virtual safety car is that there is no punishment. It's only one thing. They tell you, okay, you're supposed to make that piece of track in that many seconds. But if you don't do that, nothing happens. It's always up to the driver. And again, you know, I noted that because it was, you know, unbelievable to me. I mean, Rosberg got 1.5. I mean, 1.5 seconds of gain is massive. Hamilton lost 2 seconds. He could afford that, but he lost 2 seconds because there is no feedback, you know. And at the end of the virtual safety car, there is no, you know, there's nobody saying, okay, you fucked up, you didn't, you know, you slowed. I mean, it's insane.
I think
I don't know.
One thing about the virtual safety car that I will say is better than the actual safety car is this ridiculous thing of allowing cars that have been lapped to unlap themselves. Monaco was messed up this year because of that.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen under the virtual safety car, so anything to get rid of that is a good thing. But I think there are more things wrong with it than there are right with it.
I mean, they might make a rule mandatory, you know, the same one that you know, when you get in the pit lane, you press a button because you cannot go faster. I think it's 90 kilometers an hour. I don't know, it's 55 miles, stuff like that. I mean, they might do something like that. You know, they might put a speed limiter. So I mean, you want to freeze the race, okay? Do it electronically. You know, nobody can go faster than, I don't know, 150 kilometers an hour. That's it. 100 miles an hour.
Well,
that's pretty much it.
That sort of thing could even be issued by Charlie Whiting from the safety control. I mean, they could literally send out a signal to all of the cars electronically to put them into a slower engine mode.
Yeah, but the problem is that, you know, right now the rule says that it's up to the driver. They tell you that, you know, you got lights telling you you're too fast, you're too slow, keep up, go on, you know, and everybody can always say, oh yeah, I got a little bit, you know, I was talking with some guy, I didn't realize the light. There is no feedback, there is no punishment for that. It's quite I don't know, I think it's kind of fucked up. And I'm sorry, the other thing I want to talk about really quickly is I was really glad about the no electronics on start.
Yes. Just give me one. I want to talk about that. Well remembered. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I need to go do something for just. If you want to fill the dead air talking about that, I'll come back as soon as I can. But yes.
I will talk good about Sebastian Vettel because you asked me before, you know, and the reason why I think, you know, that Vettel made a massive good race is that, you know, besides the problem that he had with the tire, I think that the way that he made the corner sequence, which is the Source, Eau Rouge, and Radillon, while Grosjean was on the back of him on better tires overall, was one of the best things I've ever seen in Formula One this year. The way he made that sequence, which is massive in Spa, everybody knows that's the sequence you want to do. That's the reason why, if you talk about 80% of the drivers will tell you that Spa is the best circuit ever, is the Source, Eau Rouge, which is the uphill left-right corner, and Radillon, which is just the one after that. That's a massive corner. That's a massive sequence of corner where you really got some guts. You go full throttle only on qualifying. Not everybody does that, you know, with full fuel and, you know, and racing tires. But I think that the way that Vettel made that corners on inferior tires when Grosjean was pushing him with better tires, I think that was, in my opinion, one of the best things I've seen in F1 this year, and for a couple of years. Was I had goosebumps every lap he made. That it was incredible.
Oh, I've had my opinion changed on Sebastian Vettel now for about a season and a half. When he was dominant at Red Bull, I really wasn't interested at all. I thought he was arrogant. I thought it was, I made all of the usual excuses. It's just the car, But having seen him in the flesh, so to speak, at Silverstone last year, racing against Alonso, in stuff that just didn't make the TV coverage. I mean, he was passing me at Copse Corner a couple of times with Alonso behind him, and I was literally having to look the other way. It was nose to tail, incredible driving. Certainly answered the critics who used to once upon a time say that he couldn't race from anywhere other than the front. And then his performance at Ferrari since he went there this season has just been fantastic. I mean, it's 7 podiums now. The other thing, sorry, if you wanted to talk more about Vettel, we'll go back over. But I just remembered while I was out the room there that the other big feature of the weekend was exceeding track limits.
Yes.
A lot of cars going outside the racing, putting both tires outside of the white line.
Yeah.
This really needs clearing up because at some circuits, Charlie Whiting comes down on them like a ton of bricks.
No, you're right. I don't know if you're referring to, I can't remember, was the one which overtook Massa, I think, at the end of after the Radillon, when they got the S. I think there was...
Lewis was doing it in qualifying all the time.
Yeah.
I think Verstappen was doing it during the race. Ricciardo, I mean, they were all going over, especially coming out of the exit. Going into Eau Rouge.
Yeah. Well, the rule says that you cannot put all your 4 tires behind the white line. So, I mean, sometimes it seems to be they're really over, but if one tire is just pinching the line, it's okay with the ruling. So yeah, sometimes it's really difficult, to judge it. But yeah,
there was a couple of drivers got a drive-through penalty for doing exactly the same thing in Canada, and they were getting away with it at Spa. I don't understand why it's such a arbitrary thing. I mean, surely the rule is either clear or it isn't. I mean.
Well, during the race there is a different ruling. I mean, during the race, basically you got a yellow card, and I think I can't remember the driver, but I remember some radio communication saying you got a yellow card. If you do it again, you gotta you gotta do a pit pass, basically. So yes, I know that some yellow cards were issued. There was a one problem with I think it was a Red Bull overtaking Massa, and I can't remember if who the driver was, which went all the way out of the right left S after the Eau Rouge Radillon, where there is a straight, and that one, and people jumped on the seats and saying that it should give back the position. Now that was an instance where he wasn't supposed to give back the position, because when he actually overtake the guy and when he was braking was already in front. So the fact that he got away, that might have only a problem of giving him a yellow card, and not to do it again. But yeah, I mean, Spa is a big problem, and you got to give a lot of leeway. I mean, again, Eau Rouge Radillon is a fucked up corner, and I think that giving a bit of leeway is not that bad. You know what I mean?
I disagree. I think if the rule is that you do not put 4 wheels over the white line, the rule is that you do not put 4 wheels over the white line. If they need to do that in order to approach Eau Rouge with the kind of speed that they need, then they need to approach it differently. Surely it comes down to the driver. It's down to the driver to obey the rules.
No, I agree. It's a fair point. I mean, you're not the only one. There is an Italian driver, Davide Valsecchi, which makes the commentary on Sky Italy, which actually agrees with you. So I mean, you're in good company, and I understand that. I don't know. I mean, I think there are some cases where as you said, when everybody does that, and I won't say that's common, but it's. I don't know. There are circumstances, but yeah, I can see your point, and actually think you're right.
So the next race is the Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah,
At Monza.
The next race is Monza.
In 10 days' time.
Yeah, I'm actually eager to find if they're gonna to make the speed record with those fucked up engines that they have right now. The speed record is in Monza right now is 374 kilometers an hour.
It's Juan Pablo Montoya holds that, doesn't he?
Oh wow, I don't know who got it actually. I can't remember who did it.
That's a factoid from the back of my brain.
I remember the speed. The speed is 374 kilometers an hour. And I can't remember who made that. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't know if it's Montoya, but I don't know. So we'll see if they can, make it faster.
Just Googling that now. Autodromo Nacional Monza track record. Come on.
Come on, speed record. Come on.
Lap record.
Oh, the lap record is one thing. I'm talking about max speed. The things that the Germans are interested in.
Yeah, I was right. The lap record is 1:19.52. Juan Pablo Montoya when he was at Williams.
Oh yeah, but there is a reason because of that. They would never beat that. The chicane after the main straight has been so fucked up right now that nobody's is ever going to beat that.
Right.
I mean, I've been there, I'm walking there, and it's totally fucked up. Especially if you're racing with motorcycles, the chicane right now in Monza is so weird that you basically go back. It's not like a chicane that you imagine like that. You go back, and then you make a turn. It's so bad.
So where is the chicane being put in since Montoya set the record? Is it turn 1-2 is now a chicane, or is it 4-5?
No, it is the one just after the finish line. The first chicane that you meet.
Right. So that's new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They remade that after Montoya, so you will never be able to do that again because you lose all the speed, on all these other corners. So you will never be able to do that again.
I'm just looking at the track layout on the Wikipedia article of Monza now, and there's actually still an escape road there, and that's a colossal long run before they put that chicane in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what kind of teams is Monza going to favour? Obviously, you're going to hope that Ferrari does well.
Yeah, Ferrari is going to bring his fourth engine. They're going to be some development. So, yeah, they're going to try to make something good. I think Force India, I mean, judging from the speeds that they reach, in Spa, might be an interesting team right now. They reach some interesting speeds.
Perez was the driver we didn't talk about. I knew there was one. I thought he had a great race, yeah. It was a shame about Hulkenberg having some issues, but you're right. Force India, yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, Williams might be a good one. I mean, even if I think Williams, went a little bit backwards, from the start of the seasons. They apparently at the beginning of the season they made a car which had really low aerodynamic drag. So in Monza, on paper they might do good. But I don't know. I haven't seen any developments from the beginning of the season, so I'm not really sure about that.
So when you said earlier, did Ferrari not bring a new aero package to Spa as well, or was that?
No, they brought an aero package the race before. I think I remember there was a big fuss about that. Well, they put some stuff. I mean, almost all the teams, they basically put, you know, different deflectors on the front wing, just to put more air on the exterior of the tires, which, you know, the big problem, you know, with aerodynamics in F1. But no big deal. They're going to bring a new engine in Monza, the fourth engine. I don't know how many engines they got. You know, we're still back to what we were talking about before. Yeah, no, I don't know how many engines you're allowed to use during the season. I have no idea. I mean, that's beyond.
No, if they're on their fourth engine, then they're never going to make it to the end of the season without taking a grid penalty.
I don't know. It's either the fourth engine or the fourth token. I don't know. I mean, I know that they're going to bring something new. Okay, let me put it this way. I have no idea what I'm talking about because it's beyond me. Right. This ruling is just insane to me. I cannot wrap my head around it. So.
Well, if anybody watching knows definitively what the answer to this is, then please send us a message. My understanding is that each team has 4 engines per car, and any changes that they make beyond using their tokens, however many they're allocated according to where they finished in the championship previous season, then they are given a grid penalty, I think, of 6 places.
I don't know. I don't think it's that easy, Jim. You know, honestly, I think the token system is more, you know, there is a token system for the engine, but for the thermodynamic engine, there is a token for, you know, the hybrid engine. There is a token for a gear. There's a token for something. I mean, honestly, you said that. If someone knows about it, send an email and send me your email account. I will give you PayPal money.
If anyone can definitively answer.
I will do that. I will give you 20 euros right now. I'm on record, you know, I'm not kidding. I will give you 20 euros on your PayPal account if you can explain to me, and I'm a moron, how the fuck this token system works. I will give you fucking money. So if Bernie Eccleston is listening to that, he can get some money out of it. You know, he's probably gonna spend it on champagne. Well, 20 euros, that's not gonna, you know, change his life, but still, he's someone which is really, you know, really careful with money, so I might want to get my 20 euros, you bastard.
Well, just before we wrap up, a couple of weeks ago, I posted a poll to the Formula One group on Google Plus saying who should replace Bernie Eccleston, and the options that I gave, there was a joker in there, maybe not so much of a joker to some people, but a joker to me, of Jean Alesi, Ross Brawn, Christian Horner, and someone else. I can't remember. I picked in my own poll now, but Ross Brawn so far is winning from votes of over 260 people. Ross Brawn is winning by 60%.
I think a good name might be Alain Prost.
Okay.
I think Alain Prost might be a good one, and I really don't like Alain Prost. I didn't like him when he was racing for Ferrari, so that says you something. But I think it might do good.
But the interesting thing about that was that I don't know whether it's the same over in Italy, but the press over here pretty much clamoring for it to be Christian Horner. And he's, I think, bottom of the choice of people who voted. 260 isn't a particularly large sample group, but for Ross Brawn to be so far ahead, even though he's still currently on fishing vacation.
I don't know. I mean, I think Ross Brawn is too much technical. From that point of view, I think, you know, those names you gave, I think Horner might be more feasible. I mean, you know, we cannot hide behind our finger. You know, F1 is a huge political stuff, and I think Horner might be more suitable for the job. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I was surprised by so many people not wanting it to be him. I certainly think he would do a good job of it, but I think it needs to be somebody from who's fresh from a team, because, you know, what have we been talking about all evening as two ordinary F1 fans? We don't understand enough about the backroom deals and the technical side of the sport.
Yeah.
We can talk until we're blue in the face about the stuff that actually happens on track and, you know, over the course of the race weekend between the drivers, but actually what really affects the performance of the drivers is the stuff that ordinary fans don't get to find out anything about. And I think if the sport's going to survive, they really need to open up a lot more. You know, look at what Sky did with soccer. The way football used to be on TV was basically, you know, you got sort of 10 minutes punditry before the match, then they played, then they stopped playing, and then the TV program was over. Now they have entire TV channels, 6 of them dedicated to every match that's being played on every day of the week. We need a Formula One, the face of Formula One in the press needs to be much more opened up. We need to know about what's going on with driver development programs. I think GP2 is a rich seam to be exploited. You know, trying to follow GP2 is ridiculous. I mean, even though they have this, you know, I know when the races take place on the race weekend, trying to follow what's going on with the drivers and who's doing what, it's just impossible. And I'm a fan. So getting that stuff out there to people who are yet to be drawn into the world of Formula One, it's a real uphill task. Bernie Ecclestone certainly isn't the man to do it. So yeah, that's my rant about where things need to improve. So, which I think, unless you've got something to add, I think probably wraps it up.
Yeah, I just want to make a last thought about Justin Wilson. It's across the pond. It's not F1. I understand, you know, but you know, he had a massive accident in Pocono in the IndyCar. He's actually in coma. So
I read about that.
So yeah, let's just, you know, hope that he's going to recover. He's a nice guy. He's a nice driver. He's a good chap. So yeah, there is that.
Where was it at, the race?
The race was in Pocono, which I have no idea where it is. Actually.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And it was. I saw part of the accident. Basically, what happened is that a driver in front of him, I can't remember the name, he smashed into the wall, and that's the problem with the ovals. It was an oval.
Yeah.
All the debris stay inside, and he came, you know, on the scene of accident, and basically the front part, the nose cone, hit him in the head.
Oof.
Yeah. So yeah, there is that. And okay, I'm sorry I got to say that again, because there was one thing I want to talk about, but this gives me a good lead. There is a factory in Italy called Dallara, which is actually the factory which is making all the cars in IndyCar and in GP2, where there was that other massive accident with that, you know, Holland driver. I can't remember the name is slipping to me right now, but it was a massive accident on Saturday. And I just want to make a big shout out to Dallara, because, you know, even, you know, Justin Wilson is in coma because, you know, the piece of debris hit him in the head, and then he went straight on the wall, but the car was basically intact. And even that guy Van der, I can't remember the name, GP2 or the guy, I'm sorry about that, on Saturday, he got a big accident. And even GP2 cars are made by Dallara, so I'm really proud of the fact that they're made by the Italian factory, because, you know, all the cars, you know, survived, and even the guy on Saturday in GP2 survived with no big problems. And, you know, if you saw the accident, it was really bad, because it basically went into a tire wall head-on. Was really massive. So that's something I'm really proud of. You know, that small company close to where I live, they make really good cars. Sorry about that, but I got to make a big shout out to Dallara.
And there's a great interview with Alexander Rossi on GP2series.com talking about the Spa-Francorchamps GP2 race this week, and he mentions indeed that obviously we're really happy that he survived that encounter. I didn't see it myself. I normally try and watch GP2, as I say, but I was at my girlfriend's house this weekend, and I'd already made her watch cars going around in circles for long enough at the end of the Grand Prix. But ordinarily, I would have turned over to Sky Sports and watched GP2.
It's Daniel De Jong. Sorry.
Yes, that was the name of the driver. Sorry, that's why I originally started looking, and then I found this interview with Rossi. So yeah, good chat. I hope we haven't forgotten about any drivers. I'm racking my brains. I don't think we have. So we're going to try and do this every Monday evening around about this time after each race weekend. next time I'll make sure that I make notes, because I was going from memory tonight. That's how pro I am.
Look at me. I make notes.
Fabio made notes because he's more of a man than me. That's why. There, I said it. So yeah, but thanks for listening, and tune in next time and tell your friends about us.
Yeah, go.
And if you want to come on and chat with us about the Formula One, and particularly if you have any idea at all how this engine token development thing is supposed to work, then send us an email to the usual address. Be sure to mark your envelopes, email, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.